Do you believe President Trump thinks he actually lost the election or not?
I do think he believes it. That's been part of what has been scaring me as I've been watching from afar. You know, at first I really thought he wouldn't run again. I honestly thought this was a lot of his bluster, which, you know, he's good at doing. He was doubling down. He'll never admit to losing, et cetera, et cetera. I thought he was going to just kind of raise some money so he could pay off legal bills, et cetera. But I think now, because his base is reacting to him the way that it is, and polls are showing that he is still very much the leader of the Republican Party, and very, very few Republicans are refusing to speak up about, you know, his role in January 6th, but also this current attack on democracy with regard to election integrity. I think he is going to run again. And, you know, that's why I'm speaking out the way I am. I don't want him to run again. I think people aren't remembering that if he does run again in 2024, he'll have no guardrails because he will never have to worry about re-election. So he will do whatever he wants. He will hire whomever he wants. And I think that that includes people of the January 6th mind. And I think that, you know, earlier your guest was talking about the DOJ and it being weaponized. Imagine who he could put into the DOJ in 2024, knowing he's got no consequences there.
I think she's right about there being no guardrails for Donald Trump if he wins again. And the thing is, you say that he's always kind of complied. We can debate because January 6th, we can debate what his role in that was. But February 2018, Trump's DOJ subpoenaed Apple for data. The same thing that the people in Congress, the Republicans, are complaining about right now. Well, the Trump DOJ, weaponized by Donald Trump, subpoenaed Apple for data from members of the House Intelligence Committee, including people like Eric Swalwell, who, again, as another guy who I think needs to come on the show, and their families, at least one minor, allegedly. You know, of course, AG Barr misled the public before the release of the Mueller report. And of course, we know that Donald Trump pardoned all his political cronies, like, you know, General Flynn, who, by the way, pled guilty twice, but still pardoned this guy, Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, and he pressured officials from the DOJ to find votes and fraud where there weren't one, where there wasn't fraud. So, you know, we can talk about Raffensperger, we can talk about, you know, all around the country where he was calling all these people, and of course, the stuff that he did with the DOJ that's just come out. I think people have become kind of desensitized to all of that now because it's one thing after another. And you are correct that in some cases, I think the media has blown things up a little bit, you know, in particular, like we were talking about with Russia, making it seem like it was some sort of slam dunk, when in fact they just didn't have the evidence. And that's what Mueller said. He didn't say it didn't happen. He's like, we just don't see the evidence of it. There's no definitive evidence. Which in our system, if there's no evidence, there, you know, you can't prove a crime, then the person is free to go. So doesn't mean a crime didn't happen, just means that, you know, you don't have a way of proving it. And that's the beauty of our system. So the idea that Trump would not weaponize certain parts of the government to get his enemies, I don't think that that's necessarily true and borne out in what he's done. Not only has he intimidated his enemies through his Twitter account, but he's also done other things that have shown, excuse me, that, you know, he will weaponize elements of government. And if he has no more races to run, why wouldn't he go balls to the wall? And honestly, this is one of the problems that many on the left have with Barack Obama, was that he was so constrained and contained within his second term that he didn't go balls to the wall. You know what I mean? He said, I have no more races to run, but didn't, you know, go out and push an agenda harder and more to the left. And I think that's because he fell somewhere more center left than as far left as people thought he was. But I think Donald Trump, unconstrained by another race to win, could do whatever he wanted and fundamentally change some institutions within our government. And I think that's a legitimate fear. Whether I just don't think it's crazy to think that. I can understand where you might disagree based on certain things, but I can understand why someone would say that is a legitimate fear born out of the way Trump tried to go after his enemies and protected anybody who protected him.
I'm thinking about what I would want out of the next president, whoever that would be. And among those things, it's just like, regardless of who runs. And I think, by the way, the polling that Stephanie Grisham referred to shows that there is some appetite among some Republicans for a big number, actually, for a different Republican candidate to represent them. I don't know if Trump is going to do it. I mean, Trump has spent many years flirting with presidential runs, and up until 2016 had always actually balked in the end at continuing with a presidential ambition. He had announced previously Green Party runs, things like that. But he in the end only ran in 2016, and that's when he succeeded. He's got a sense, of course, he knows the weakness that Biden has right now in terms of his polling. So that's got to be enticing for a guy like Trump, who thinks who definitely can compete and succeed, I think, in a presidential primary. I just don't know if he will. But regardless, whoever ends up taking that position, I can say that, like, there's a lot of voters who just want the basics out of them. It is, we need a secure border. We need a flourishing economy. We need to seriously confront China and have a sense of what those issues are. We need to bring back as many American jobs as we can, especially manufacturing. We should reshore a lot of that in order to shore up our supply chains and shore up jobs for American workers, obviously. We need to, I think, get the federal government by and large out of people's lives. We need secure elections. I mean, just like, I don't know, I can go down the whole list, but there are so many important things that need to be done that aren't being done right now. I mean, look at, Joe Biden on immigration is considered a failure widely on immigration, especially on the southern border. The opioid crisis is just like a complete disaster. You and I discuss it all the time. The Afghanistan thing obviously worked very much against Biden. Now, would it have been different with Trump in office? Hard to say. Trump, of course, insists that it would be, but you never know. Although the reality of the nature of the withdrawal, it's hard to see how we would have done that under any other president. I mean, this seems like a pretty unique set of circumstances, getting rid of Bagram and then losing 13 guys and then leaving Americans hostage in Afghanistan. It's so all of those things, it's just creating this tremendous vacuum, Jason, where I think there are a bunch of people who could fill it, who could absolutely be an improvement over what we have right now. And I'm just praying, I am praying that we get that. I just feel like the country needs it. We just need to we need to have some confidence in our system, and we need to see, especially American families, begin to thrive again. And that would set us off on the right course. I'm sorry. I know these are sort of
general
sentiments, but that is how I feel.